Hey guys, it's Bethany, your crafty BFF, and today I'm on with a special tutorial. Um, First, a disclaimer: my family is home. It's the weekend. It is Father's Day, and so you may hear some background noise, but that doesn't mean we can't craft together. Um, I have created this mini album for um a swap. Miss Jody, who is at Paper Play with Jody here on YouTube and on Instagram, contacted me and asked me to kind of co-host a kitchen slash baking themed swap with her, and I was excited from the get-go. So um, we talked about the requirements, and one of the things we wanted to do, because it's different. I haven't seen a swap where you had to make a chipboard mini album. Um, so don't worry if you've never made one before. I've been told that I um, am good at explaining how to do this, and don't worry. It's not as complex as you think it is. I am going to walk you through step by step how to make this, and it's really fun. So if you're up for the challenge, join our What's Cooking swap that Jody and I are co-hosting. It's going to be really fun. This is the main project for it. It is a 6.5 by 8.5 with a 2.5-inch spine, and it has some really fun features. Well, one really fun feature anyways. I will open it up here and show you the fun feature here on the inside cover. Okay, so this is a cooking slash baking themed swap, and so we wanted to make a recipe album. This has a recipe little stand, so you can take this in the kitchen with you and have a stand like so to hold your recipe cards and go step by step on the recipe. So here is what it looks like from the side. I'll show you like this. And it stands here using this pocket as the leverage to make it stand. There's a tiny pocket here to hold your little recipe card. I'm trying to find something. Here is a random memory dex card. See, it just sits in there like that. So it does fold down. You will need magnets or Velcro to keep it down and flat. I will show you how to install the magnets if that's what you're doing. If you're doing Velcro, it's easy. You just make sure you add your pattern paper first and then add your Velcro dots. So that flips down, but this also flips up. And this is what the foldy part looks like. And then you have a pocket here that you can keep photos and or recipe cards in. Then on page 1, we've got a double pocket. So I'm just going to use this piece of chipboard to show you that there's a pocket here and a pocket here. So lots of room to store your recipe cards. Also to store recipe cards and or photos. Each page is a pocket page. Easy to make. This page is just a flat page, so you can add photos. So it can be like a recipe slash photo album. You can use it however you want to use it. But for the purpose of the swap, you're going to be putting your embellishments in here in the pockets or on the plain pages with repositionable glue dots. Speaking of those, I picked those up from Hobby Lobby. They look like this. $2.99 removable clear adhesive dots. Just make sure you don't get the permanent ones because they do have removable and permanent. anyways, moving on. Page 3 here has another pocket. We wanted to make sure there were lots of pockets. Again, each page is a pocket page. Pages 4 and 5 have these side pockets. You can add photos on top of the pockets and store things in the pockets. The last page here is another just flat page that you can document photos or whatever you want. This here is a flap, also a good place to put photos or a recipe card, whatever you want. And then this opens up and we have one more pocket. So lots of pockets. It's a little bit interactive with this flap here and this fun recipe card stand here. And I promise it's not going to be super difficult. Like I said, I will walk you through step by step. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that you need is your chipboard, and you need 2 pieces for your front and back cover that are 6.5 inches by 8.5 inches. And then you need 1 piece that is 2.5 inches by 6.5 inches for your spine. If you've never done this before, I will walk you through step by step. Like I said, no worries. The next thing you need is your 65-pound cardstock. It's important to wrap your chipboard with 65-pound cardstock because you want it to, don't want to do anything thicker than 65 pounds, okay? You need 3 pieces of your 65-pound, and we are going to glue these together. I'm going to use a combination of double-sided tape and my Bearly Arts glue. And the first thing we're going to do is put our tape along the long side edge of our first piece of paper, like so. I'm going to get my bone folder and press that down so that the double-sided tape adheres to the paper. So, and then I'm going to do that to my second piece of 65-pound cardstock as well. We're going to attach these together to make one very long piece of paper so we can wrap our chipboard. Also, another disclaimer, I did not come up with the recipe stand in the mini album thing. I actually am scrap lifting that from Rosa Kelly. I made a recipe album that she did a tutorial for last year that has the same feature, and so like I said, disclaimer, I did not come up with that. I'll give credit where credit is due. So I like to use my double-sided tape and my Bearly Arts glue to make sure that this stays together. I don't trust double-sided tape by itself. But you do you. If you think your double-sided tape will stick fine, then you do that. If you only want to use glue, that's fine too. I just like that extra security of 2 adhesives. So I'm taking my bone folder and pressing that down so that they stick together. And now I'm going to remove the backing of the tape from this piece. Add my glue. Just a thin little line. And then attach my third piece of 65-pound cardstock. Adhering it down with my bone folder. And now you should have one really long piece of cardstock. Let's add our glue to, you can use double-sided tape and or glue. I'm just going to use my glue today. So I'm going to start with my spine piece. Hold on, let me show you how to line this up. Okay, so you want to make sure there's about an even amount of space on the top and the bottom of your chipboard. Let me see if I can zoom out here a little bit. There we go. You can see a little better. So there's a even amount of space on the top and bottom of the cardstock, and you're putting your spine in the middle of your three pieces. Okay, so these two lines are going to be on your front and back cover pieces of chipboard. You want to make sure don't line your chipboard up so that this line is in the crease between your two pieces of chipboard, because it will fall apart. Okay, so make sure that those where we attach the paper is in the middle of your front and back covers. Okay, so we're lining these up, and we're leaving about 1/8 of an inch of space between the two pieces of chipboard. And then we'll bring in the front, what will be the front cover, and line that up as well. Again, leaving 1/8 of an inch of space between your two pieces of chipboard. And again, those where we attach the paper is securely like in the frame of the chipboard, if that makes sense. Okay, so once you've got them lined up about as well as you're gonna, then you can add your double-sided tape and or glue to your chipboard spine. I like to glue the spine down first. Make sure I'm getting the edges. And there we go. That's good enough. And like I said, I'm going to make sure that I have an even amount of space on the top and bottom, and it's basically in the middle of our paper. It's okay if it's not perfect. You just want to make sure there's about 1 inch on top and at least 1 inch on top and bottom, right? Okay. Now I'm going to use my bone folder here and press this down so it sticks nicely. You want to get it as straight as you can. And then I do my back cover. Add my glue. I would normally do double-sided tape and glue. However, I don't have any 1-inch double-sided tape currently, so I'm just using the glue, and it's fine. You don't have to do both. I've done albums both ways, and they work just fine as long as you have a decent glue. Okay, so like I said, I'm placing this down to the right of my spine. I'm making sure it's straight. There's about an even amount of space on the top and bottom, and I'm gonna press down. Doesn't have to be perfect. We are gonna cut some excess away from the sides. Now I'm gonna add my glue to my front cover. And at any time in the tutorial, if you need to pause or rewind or do whatever you need to do, you do that. This may be a 2-part video. It just depends, because I'm taking some extra time to explain in case there's any beginners. So just another disclaimer, it may be a 2-part video. Okay, so now we have what should look like this. Okay, and we are going to cut away the excess from this side and this side. And we're going to leave about 1 inch to 1.5 inches on both sides. Now I'm doing the left side. Doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody's going to see the cuts because we're going to fold this paper over the chipboard like so. Okay. I am going to very gently start bending my paper around my chipboard like so. You want to do it gently and not just fold it over and crease it right away. You don't want to do that because your cardstock could tear, and you don't want that. So I'm doing my sides first. Like I said, I'm working the paper in, gently folding it down and over the chipboard. Working it in. Now I'll do the top. I like to start here on this side and just gently fold down. Like so. And then the bottom. Gently folding over. Not tearing my cardstock. And then once you've got it nice and worked in, then you can take your bone folder and crease it down. Like so. On all four sides. But definitely work it in first. Don't just fold and crease, because you risk tearing the cardstock. Okay. So now we have a little more excess that we're going to cut away here on the corners. We're going to start here in the upper right corner. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut the corner away. But I'm going to leave about 1/8 of an inch space between this very tip of the corner and where I cut. Okay, that's important so that the paper covers the chipboard. So just like that, we're going to leave about 1/8 of an inch space from the tip of the chipboard. Okay, we're going to do that on all four sides. So I'm going to do this side next. I do have a special tool that I can use, but since this is beginner friendly, I thought I would just do it the old-fashioned way. Again, I'm going to cut this corner away and leave about 1/8 of an inch space from the tip of the corner. Make sense? Let's do it 2 more times. Just take your time, make sure you're leaving that space. And there we have it. There's all four corners cut away. And now we're going to add some double-sided tape to our cardstock. I like to add 2 pieces here. I'm using 3/8 of an inch tape, but 1/2 inch will do. Even 1/4 inch will do. I get this on Amazon because I like the 3/8 inch tape for when I'm doing my attaching my pages to the spine, the hinge spine that we're going to make. So I add a piece of double-sided tape right next to the chipboard, and then I add a piece right on the edge of the cardstock, like so. I know it's hard to see because it's white on white, but I will hold this up so you can see the double-sided tape on the very edge and then right next to the chipboard. I'm also going to add glue on top of my double-sided tape so that every little part of the cardstock is stuck down to the chipboard. So again, adding it to the very edge. This one is not straight, but like I said, that doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be straight because nobody's going to see it. We're going to cover that up. Here's a pointer. If you accidentally do too much tape here, definitely when you take the back off, hold on, let's use our bone folder and crease this all down so it's nice and stuck to the paper and the backing comes off easily. Get my little pokey tool here, remove this tape, and you don't want any tape hanging over the edge. If it's hanging over the edge like that, just fold it over on itself. That way nothing sticks to it. Go ahead and remove this. I'm going to do the bottom here too. I usually start at the bottom, but because I had that tape hanging off the edge, I wanted to show you how to fold it over on itself. So I removed the tape, the backing of the tape from down here, and I'm going to add glue here in this corner and in between the glue and in between the tape and even on top of the tape, just for some added security. 2 adhesives are better than 1, in my opinion. So, okay, we've got this nice and worked in. We've got our tape and our glue added, and we're going to bend this over here in the middle and then fold it over to the right and then fold it over to the left like so. Pressing down, I'll take my bone folder and press down better. And it should look something like this. Now I'm going to do my top. I usually do the bottom and then the top and then I do the sides. Okay, so I'm adding my glue here on top of and in between the tape, and especially there in that corner where there's no adhesive. It don't take a lot, just a little. And then again, I'm going to press down here in the middle and fold down this way and then press down this way. Take my bone folder and press it down better, like so. Okay, now we can do this side here on the left. I'm going to add my glue because I already removed the backing of the tape. And now, before I fold it over, I am going to use my fingernail, or you can use your bone folder, and you're going to see this sharp corner here. You're going to take that little piece of paper there and just press it inwards like this. Like I said, you can use your fingernail or your bone folder so it looks like this, and then you don't have a sharp pointy edge that will poke anyone, right? So we're going to do that down here too. I'm going to use my fingernail this time. And I'm just folding that in there to the inside, so there's no sharp pointy corner. Okay, and now we can fold this over. I'm going to use my bone folder, press it down well. And the reason we leave that 1/8 inch gap on the corners here is so that all that chipboard gets covered. Without that 1/8 inch that we left there on the corner, it would be showing the chipboard right now, like right here. So it's nice and covered when you do it that way. Let's do this last side. Add our glue. And then we're going to tuck in our corners again. I'm just going to use my fingernail and get that tucked away. And then this side. Oh, sorry, I'm not in frame. Tuck that in. And then fold this over. So there's no sharp, pointy corners. I like to take my bone folder and just do this to the sides to get that corner nice and shaped. If you need to. Sometimes you don't need to, but it just depends. Okay, so your chipboard should look like this, and like this on this side. And before we do anything else, we're going to set this to the side and let this dry really well. I don't like to mess with it until I know all of that wet glue is nice and dried. So set this to the side, and we're going to work on our hinges. Okay, so we set the chipboard aside, and we're going to work on our hinges. For your hinges, you need a piece of 7 7/8 inches by 9.5 inches. And we're going to do some scoring. So taking my scoreboard, we are going to line it up on the 9.5 inch side. And we are going to score every 3/4 inch so that we have 3/4 inch hinges and 3/4 inch gussets. The first score is going to be at 1.5. I like to gently press down with my bone folder twice. Our next score is at 2.25. 3, 3 3/4, 4.5, 5.25, 6, 6 3/4, 7.5, 'Gusset, hinge, gusset, hinge, gusset, gusset, hinge, hinge, hinge. Okay. Sorry, I'm just seeing what we got here. 3. Okay, we got 1, 2, and 3. Okay, that's right. I questioned myself for a second. Sorry about that. So we have the first 2 score lines that we made. These 2 sections are going to be our first gusset, or our first hinge, and then we skip one because that's our gusset, and then our next 2 are our hinges, and then this one is a gusset, and then this one is a hinge, and then you should have some, I call these the wings. So the sections on the left and right are to hold the spine, the gusset, the hinges into the album. So the first the second score line here, we're going to do a mountain fold, like so. Let me move this guy out of the way. And we're going to lay this on the table and fold forward. And then fold it towards you, press down. We're going to skip a section because that's our gusset, and then the next two, the next score line, you do another mountain fold, like so. Fold it away from yourself and press down. Fold it towards you and press down. What we're doing is working in the hinges so that they fold to each side nicely. Okay, you're going to skip the next section here because that's another gusset. And then you're going to do a third mountain fold here. And you're going to fold it away from you, press down, and then towards you and press down. So then you should have something that looks like this. And you're going to flip it over like so. And we're going to glue the hinges together. We're going to add glue here to this first section. And then fold the second section on top of it. Like so. I'm going to use my bone folder to press down. And then let me show you what it looks like. It should look like this. Like so. Okay. So then we skip this one, and then we add our glue to this one. Oh, got a little messy there. And then you're going to fold the next one on top of the glue. Press down. And now you'll have two hinges that look like this. And this is what we're going to attach our pages onto. So go back to the back. You're going to skip this one and then add glue to this one. You could use double-sided tape and or glue if you'd like. I'm just using my glue today. It works fine for me. So now I'm just pressing down, making sure those are nice and stuck together. And now your three hinges should look like this. That's the standing up view, and then the flat view. Okay. Now we're going to add our double-sided tape to both sides of each hinge. I suggest using, okay, so our hinges are 3/4 of an inch. So I suggest using either a 1/4 inch tape or 1/2 inch tape. And what we're going to do is put it on the very edge of your hinge. The very outer edge of your hinge. Okay, you don't want to put the tape all the way down to the crease, to the score line. Okay, you want space between the double-sided tape and the score line, because if the page goes all the way down on the hinge, then the hinges don't fold back and forth nicely. So I hope that makes sense. I'm adding my tape to the very, very outer edge of the hinge. Like so. And then I'm going to flip the hinge over and add a piece again to the outer edge of the opposite side. Oops. For my hinges, I because this is what holds our pages in. I use both double-sided tape and glue because I don't want to risk my pages falling out. And like I said, I like that extra security of 2 adhesives. I'm just continuing to add the double-sided tape to the outer edges of all 3, of all 3 hinges. I've never done that before. Flipped the camera and shown myself. Adding this to the very edge of the hinge, like so. Now we're going to take our bone folder to each individual hinge side and make sure that that double-sided tape is nice and stuck down. Okay, now we are going to flip it back over to the back, and we're going to add both double-sided tape and glue to the back. Well, first, just our double-sided tape. Man, you know what? I do have some 1/2 inch double-sided tape here that I'm going to use instead of the 3/8 inch because it's just a little bigger. And I don't want to have to put down a whole bunch, you know. So anyways, to the wings, the outer, this side and this side, I'm gonna add like 3 pieces to this side. Just so it's nice and covered. I'm gonna add one piece to each of these gussets here, or whatever, the hinge back, I guess. No, these are the gussets, that's right. Okay. There to the gusset. And then I'm going to add 2 pieces here to this other wing. Like I said, so it's nice and covered relatively well with the double-sided tape. I'm going to take my bone folder and press it all down. I do have some tape sticking off here, so I'm going to make sure that I fold that over on itself once I take the backing off. Where'd my pokey tool go? There it is. I'm just going to remove all the backing. Like I said, I have some hanging over here, so I'm going to fold that over on itself, like so. I'm just throwing the backing over there to the messy side of the desk. Okay. Now we can take our chipboard cover here, and you can start to gently bend your front cover and your back cover up and down now that, because we've given it plenty of time to dry, and it should look like this. And now we're going to add our hinges here to the spine. So like I said, I like to use the double-sided tape and the wet glue. And with the wet glue, it's really important to get the very edges of your spine piece. And then I'm just going to, moderately add the wet adhesive on top of and in between the double-sided tape. You don't need a whole lot. You just need it to cover a good amount of the area. Like what I'm doing is about perfect because the lines of glue will spread once we press them down. Okay, so now you're going to take your spine piece like so. I'm going to do it like this. And I'm going to line this up so that my 3 hinges are within the confines of the spine. Okay. I'm going to make sure that there's enough, I'm leaving an even amount of space on the top and the bottom so that it's in the very middle of my book. And there's about an even amount of space on both sides as well. There we go. Get it as perfect as you can and place it down. I'm going to get my bone folder and I'm going to start pressing this down on the wings first. These little side pieces that go off of the spine. To the left and to the right of our hinges. Okay, once the wings are nice and pressed down, what I like to do is fold the hinges to the left, and then we're going to press down to get any air pockets out of there. So press that down. This also helps to work in the hinges so they fold back and forth nicely. So now I'm going to fold it to the left and press down here on the hinge and on the gusset here. I'm going to fold this hinge down to the right and press down. And then fold down to the left and press down. And again there in the gusset. And finally our third hinge, press that down. There's an air bubble in there I'm getting out. You don't want air bubbles because then your spine piece isn't going to stick to your spine very well. So now I'm folding it to the left and gently pressing down. And I'm just going to keep going here on the wing. There we have it. There's a little piece of something there. Okay, so now your hinges are installed and they should be nice and flexible, folding to the left and right easily because that's how your pages turn. And now, before I end this video and start part 2, we are going to put our hinge holder inners. That's what I call them. It's the 2 pieces of 65-pound cardstock that we're going to put right here and here. That way the little wings here are nice and secure and your hinge piece isn't going to fall out. So you need 2 pieces, again 65-pound cardstock, 6 1/4 by 8 3/8. And you're just going to add glue. You know, make sure to get the edges and then the middle. And I'm going to start here with the front cover. And what I'm doing is avoiding where the chipboard meets. So I'm lining this up over here to the outer edge of the spine, avoiding that crease line. Because we cut it at 6 1/4, it shouldn't overlap there, but just make sure that it doesn't. And that's just so that there's no extra bulk of paper covering that crease because we're going to work in that crease and make sure it folds nicely and your cardstock doesn't tear when it folds. So there we have it. And it should look like that. You see there is where the chipboard meets, and there's a nice 1/4 inch gap there between where the chipboard meets and where I laid this top piece of paper down. And it's still covering a good amount of the wing that we put down. So now I'm going to do the same here to the back cover. Add my glue. I'm going to line it up with the outer edge again to avoid that crease where the chipboard meets. And lay that down. These pieces are important because they hold in, they you know, make sure they help your wings, the edges of the spine piece, they hold that in, but they also cover that chipboard. So there we have it. Again, you can see where the chipboard meets there, and there's a good 1/4 inch gap between the paper and that. Now I suggest letting this dry for a few minutes before you crease your, before you start to bend your cover up, okay? And so give it a couple minutes to let that wet adhesive dry nicely, because it weakens the paper and you don't want to risk tearing when you score this. I do not use my metal score tool when I'm doing this because it can rip that cardstock there and then your book can fall apart. So I like to use this nice soft bone folder, and I gently start going back and forth to start creasing this paper, or this, because this is where our book folds. So I'm going to do that to both sides of my hinge here. And I apologize for my sniffles. If you're new to my channel, I have an autoimmune disorder that causes me to have allergy-like symptoms, and there's nothing I can do about it, so I apologize. It's more annoying to me than it is to you. So anyways, now that you have you've gently started scoring those lines, you can start working in your cover, your front cover here, bending it upwards like this. Like I said, I go slow and I go gently because I don't want to risk that cardstock tearing. If it tears, your book can fall apart. So I did the front one. Now I'm going to gently start working in this back one, like so. And then that's what you should have. There's the top view and your 3 hinges. And that's what it should look like. Okay, guys, this is where I'm going to end this video. Because my recording system here, oh no, the light's showing. My ring light was showing there in the corner. Sorry about that. I will come back in part 2 and we will construct our 3 pages and add all of the interactive elements to the album. So my camera, I use my phone to record, and when I get to about an hour, it takes forever for any video to upload. So that's why I'm going to come back in part 2. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions at all whatsoever, if you need extra help, if I didn't explain something well enough for you, you feel free to contact me on Instagram and I will help walk you through it. I'm available for that. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you in part 2. Bye.